Many years ago, I worked in the same office, same company as him. He was a man of few words. I didn't get to meet him too often, but whenever I did meet him, he came across as definitely a tall, dark, handsome man, but also very demure, and he seemed to be hiding a lot of stories in him, though he was not ready to spill any of them at the drop of a hat. Many years later now, he is known to be the golden man of entertainment. As the CEO of Applause Entertainment, Mr. Sameer Nair is doing exemplary work, and how? In conversation with the man himself, how are you?
Very well, thank you so much.
20 years
20
have
years.
passed since then. I still do have memories of you. Why didn't you ever speak too much in those times?
I still don't speak much.
You don't.
Right.
But you still have carried the members of your team here. Mr. Deepak Sehgal
Deepak Sehgal is here, Gwen is here. There are a few, but actually this Applause is in many ways like a brand new team.
Yeah.
So it's all people whom neither Deepak or me have worked with before.
Okay.
I think when we were setting up Applause in 2017, the sense was that since we have such a storied career and a past in this business, which time to do something new and different and do it with a little bit of fresh thinking, so that we don't spend all our time just talking about the good old days. So the team we've assembled here is actually a brand new team, of people who've never worked with us before.
Yeah, and you're right. People actually end up talking a lot about the past.
Yeah, and then we can keep on talking about that and not do anything new.
And not do anything for future.
So that turned out okay though.
That turned out okay though. But still, those were the golden days of entertainment. How the new kind of news came into business, the Star News and NDTV and things like that. And you were the head of Star Movies at that time.
I was actually by later Star Movies, then Star Plus.
Yeah.
And the whole network actually.
Yeah.
Excepting the news.
Excepting the news, you were heading the entire Star network. Yeah. Of course. And now that you work at, you're the CEO of Applause Entertainment, there's a very good tagline, and it's also written all over the walls of the office, and it says, it's not entertainment if there's no applause. That's being very confident, huh?
Well, actually, it means two things.
What?
What it means is that one is, of course, we are called Applause,
right.
So it works well for us. But what it really means is that it's not entertainment if people don't appreciate and applaud what you create.
What you create.
And that's really important, because you might still make money, but you must get the applause. The applause is the most important thing. True. So, it's really important whatever we do it for obviously commercial success, because that's important, but we also do it for audience appreciation, for audience acclaim, and for audience applause. So, which is why, and it works well for us because we are called Applause. But I think that's what we are focused on,
No, you're right. See, money is not everything. And with the rising consumption of content, ask the mothers of children and ask the parents of young adults how they really want their children to be watching something worthwhile on the internet and mobile, rather than anything that just makes great money.
Right.
So your content is also known for being critically acclaimed and appreciated for the kind of stories that you bring out. And I want to take a few names before we go ahead, and the names are the web series and the content that Applause has come out with are Scam, Rudra, Hostages, Bhaukal, Undekhi, City of Dreams, Criminal Justice, Call My Agent, Tanav, which is the Indian adaptation of Fauda, and much, much more. They're also into films, they're into web series, they're also into documentaries and animation now, and several other things. We'll talk about it. So, tell me, Mr. Nair, it's only been 5 years. And 2 years were taken away by COVID, the lockdown, where you were not able to get into production on a large scale. In just 5 years, you've already come out with 40 projects?
42 now.
42? So how do you maintain the balance of quality and quantity? And at any given point in time, what does your pipeline looks like?
What we did is, when we set out, when we were building Applause, we created this, what we call our hub and spoke model, which is that we are at the core of our business. Our team is a creative team, is a commercial team, and is a marketing and distribution team. Okay. So that's who we are. And then we sort of work towards, we had this thought that we'd get speed to market by doing some international adaptations, acquiring some books to adapt, and of course develop original material. Now this core team, and it's a really fantastic team, we started with about 30 people, now we are about 70. So me and my colleagues really focus on those parts. We focus on the creative, which is, which idea, what do we want to pursue, why this, why now, for whom, all those kind of filters. And we work with creative partners. We work with production houses, we work with directors, writers, and all of them, and to try and get that material developed and produced in the best possible way. We have very strong commercial control over all this. We also finance everything. Right. So we are a financing company, and we then manage the entire marketing and distribution of it till its monetization. So I like to describe ourselves like, think of us as Apple, designed in California, manufactured anywhere. So that's how we work. So we are really focused on design in every possible aspect. Right. And we work, so we have different teams. Different teams work with different producers and creators. So it's like a, it's like a hub and spoke model, and it's a model that keeps building on itself. We are working with very excellent creative partners. So all the directors, all the writers, all the producers we work with are all also extremely skilled and very, very reputed professionals in their own right. So I think one way that the creative business works best is when you collaborate. When lots of people work together with a single sort of vision and mission. When we all focus on quality, and when different people in different parts of this do different things, we are able to achieve that quality at scale, primarily because the individual components are focused on quality and the company as a whole is focused on scale. So that's how we sort of do it. And we've just been getting better at it because I think with each show that we do, we learn a lot more. So like we have a better sense of things that can go wrong, things to look out for, tricks from one show that we learn that we can apply on the other. Conversations with platforms are always enlightening. They have so much to share and tell you. So I think in general we remain and try to remain a super young, super curious company that is always eager to tell new stories and to learn new ways to tell those stories.
What is the definition of a star to a production house in this time, and who is the real star of a project these days?
Well, first of all, I don't think that the star system is dead or is gone away. I think stars remain important, and I think anyone who succeeds becomes a star, and anyone who continues to succeed then goes on to become a bigger star. Superstar, so in many ways, I would think that much like the Khans are still really strong and predominant in our life. Ajay Devgan, we did Rudra, the series, and that's the #1 series of the year, and that is again star power for you. I think in many ways a Pratik Gandhi or a Pankaj Tripathi have become stars. They are most sought after and wanted. There is a certain degree of audience recognition. I think a star is a brand. It is something that it announces its arrival as soon as it comes. So you say a series with Pratik Gandhi or a series with Pankaj Tripathi is its own selling point. Then after that you see the series and all of that. So I think what OTT and streaming has done is that there used to be films and then there used to be TV. So TV was all the daily soaps and all of that, and then there was film. So much like film is like the national cricket team and TV is Ranji Trophy. OTT is like IPL. Right? And it allows a whole bunch of new people to come in and perform and flourish. They don't make it to the national team, but they still flourish and they perform and they do lots of drama in that one season. I think that's what OTT has done. It's given a lot of people an opportunity. A lot of the people whom we talk about and whom we were referring to are already quite accomplished actors in their own right. Pankaj Tripathi has been around for a long time. Pratik Gandhi has been around for a long time. They've been doing work. They're getting their recognition now. So I think going forward in all of this, especially in the series business, historically, it's never been the star as much as the script. Because eventually, what the star does is get you the first 15-20 minutes. It gets you the draw, it gets you the initial eyeballs, much like a movie. You get initial. Friday to khulega. But then Saturday, Sunday will be the script, as we are seeing with movies. That when movies fail, they don't fail because of the star, they fail because of the movie. So I think those rules remain the same. That it's all in the writing, it's got to be golden writing, it's got to be fantastic, it's got to be really well written. And I think what's happening is that because audiences are seeing so much content now, COVID actually further accelerated that, because people got locked up in homes and they ended up watching a lot of other stuff which they otherwise would not have done. So otherwise people tend to watch content within their own environment and their language and their context, because that's the time you have. But COVID, because it gives people so much free time, North Indian audiences started watching a Malayalam movie, for example. Audiences everywhere started watching content from other places. We've seen Korean shows and Spanish shows and German shows and all of that. So I think overall, the quality of the audience has gone up.
That's true.
More than the quality of the content. So I think the onus now on us as content creators is that we have to match up to their quality. Audiences have become more discerning. They understand things better. Right? They've seen things. So which is why I think what is happening now to the business is that it's not about stars or not. I think stars are important. I think big actors are important. I think all of those things are important. But I think the story that brings them together has got to take the prime position.
That's true. The story. You have worked with several directors of different genre, different palette, different sensibilities, like Hansal Mehta in Scam. I loved the series Bhaukal. I watched both of them. I have lived in Western UP, and I found that to be so true to what the world that it was showcasing. There is no, you can't be contrived anymore. वो आप बिहार को दिखाने के लिए बम्बई के राइटर से लिखवा ही नहीं सकते अब कुछ भी, तो वो ऑथेंटिसिटी अब आने लगी है. So what are the directors? Who are the directors you love working with? And when you see an array of them in front of you, and with each one gets a different kind of a sensibility to the table, how do you see that?
Well, actually, see, I love working with all the directors we work with. And there's a longer list of people whom we've not yet worked with that we'd love to work with.
Like?
So many that we've not yet managed to work with.
I worked with Anurag Kashyap, no?
Not yet, that's one thing. There's Abhishek Chaubey.
Right.
I mean, there are all kinds. And in fact, some of them are too big. So, I think we'll have to grow up before we can work with them.
Wow.
And, and there are others who are too busy doing other things. But that's a good thing, because, it's good that everyone is busy and doing work. I think the big advantage for us that happens is that by working with so many different directors, again we get to be a very different organism as Applause. So we like when we work with a Hansal, or we work with a Nagesh, or we work with a Sudhir, these are very distinctive personalities. They are not the same people, and we get to learn from each one. Right? Each has their own style, each has their own sort of approach of how to approach the writing, how to approach the planning, how to approach the filming, dealing with talent. Some are more cinematic, some are better storytellers. There are some who are into the flash and the swag, some are into the grit and the grime. These are all different things. And I think one way that we like to work is that it's never like, as a studio, it's not our way or the highway, or your way or the highway. It really ends up becoming an our way. As in, we work quite collaboratively with, as long as we've aligned on the vision, then it's a lot of give and take and sort of working together. I think you got to make movies happily. You got to make series happily. That's the most important thing. That there is a bunch of creative that believes that great creative comes out of angst and anger and all that. But there's so much money riding on all this that if you can keep the angst out of it and instead have a good meal and a good night's sleep, that would help. So that's how we work. And see, we try and approach each subject, each project afresh. There's no sort of fixed formula. Unlike any other industry, like suppose this was a big steel industry or any other kind of company, what happens is you spend a lot of time in building a plant and machinery and creating your first product, and then when that product succeeds, then you mass produce it. In our business, no matter what we do, each product is brand new. So we can never mass produce it. Even though we do 41 series, for example, it's always individual quality at scale. It's not at scale. It's not the same thing, because it never is, and audiences always react to everything we do each time. Right? So like if you suppose you go and buy a perfume, once you like the perfume, you'll just indefinitely buy it for the rest of your life. In our case, every time you see a show, you have the opportunity to say, अच्छा था या बुरा था, each time. So I think that's what also, I guess, keeps us on our toes, and it keeps, and I think that's important, that everyone needs to, like you leave your last show behind, and then you focus on the next. You can't live on your laurels for too long.
How do you put your money onto a project? What makes you believe कि ये चलेगा, ये नहीं चल सकता है? What's the bet?
I don't know whether you can know that for sure. So I think what we do is we go at it in stages. Okay. So to start with, I mean, the idea must draw us, the original, the first idea, what a unique idea, or how clever, or how smart, or wow, we should totally do this. Then I think the next stage is the writing of it. Now if it's an idea, then it's got to take shape and get a life of its own. So we have different stages. So first is of course the idea, the second is the writing, the people involved in the writing.
Do you have in-house writers?
No, we don't have in-house writers, but we have in-house creative team.
Okay.
And work with. So the people involved in the writing, the showrunner, the director who's going to be directing it, how it's all coming together, the budget, the casting, these are all the different moving parts. So once these pieces start falling together, you get a better and better sense of it that yes, we are headed in the right direction, and yes, this is sounding more and more like a good idea, and we should now pull the trigger and go into production. So I mean that's a process. We can stop at any time. We can stop because the idea was good, but the writing is crap. We can stop because the writing is great.
Have you
many times
pulled the plug off?
Oh yes, we have a lot of it's R&D.
Really?
You do stuff, you start developing stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't come together well. Sometimes the budget is too high. Maybe some director or actor has become too big now, so they we can't afford them anymore. There are a variety of reasons. See, at the end of the day, it is called showbiz. Yeah. So there is show and there's biz. So you got to keep the biz in mind and try and do things sensibly. So like I had read this many years ago that for the 21st century, I think I read in 99 or 2000 while we were at Star, that in the future it is going to be really important for people to try and be generally right and avoid being specifically wrong, right?
Generally right and avoid being specifically wrong. Interesting.
Being specifically wrong can be quite harmful and injurious to health.
Yes.
So I think that is what we try and do. That we've got to, and there are numerous filters, and I think you learn, you keep learning, you keep seeing, and you see what other people are doing. Yeah. There's so much work going on, so much good work going on that we see all our fellow creators who are also doing good work.
Everybody is doing good work.
Everyone is doing good work. So you get to see what people are doing, and you get to learn from them. You get to learn from what your own actions are. So I think that's what we do. So there's no surefire way of knowing.
Okay. It's just
what you can do is that there's a lot of data. Like for example, that everyone likes crime. People.
Strangely.
They do actually.
Once somebody from France, I was on board a flight, I was headed to France, and somebody said that in India, the tragedy, I mean the woman crying on TV and crime works very well. Why do people enjoy violence?
It's not in India actually. Crime is a universally loved subject, and I'll tell you why. It's not strangely at all. The reason you like crime is because when you see a crime being committed, you are vicariously drawn to it. 99% of human beings are fattus, so they can't actually commit the crime. So they prefer to see somebody else doing it. And then once the crime is committed, now you wish that they get caught, because it would be wrong for people to get away after having committed crime. So then you like to watch them getting caught, and then when finally they are caught, then you feel sort of, you got some sense of redemption and gratification that bad things were done and then bad guys were caught. And then it's all over.
My God.
And actually as a formula that works anywhere in the world. So you go to any country and actually all these formulas work everywhere.
Okay.
So like tragedies are common, romances are common, comedies are common. So I think there's a whole bunch of universal human emotions that everyone likes. In different countries and societies, you have a slight degree of your social context. So like even in India, we'll have some things that won't be exactly like how it's in the West. But the emotion is the same.
Emotion is the same.
I think a lot of those are commonalities.
Criminal justice, while you saying all of this, I'm reminded of criminal justice. It's into its third season.
Now going to fourth.
Now going to
we
fourth.
Finished third.
Yeah, the third is done. I was in conversation with Pankaj and Jackie Shroff for the same. And third is not a part of the sequel universe.
Actually,
it's your own original.
Yeah, actually the second itself was. So in the original, they did the first season, which had the lawyer. And then in the second season, they did a completely distinct second season. When we took the second season, and we took our lawyer from the first season. So actually, we've created Madhav Mishra in that sense. And now in the third season, nobody did the third season. So we've done a third season. So in many ways, criminal justice is now a completely original story.
Now it's an original
but we continue to work with BBC and we continue to pay license fees because that was the original
why?
idea.
I mean, now
it's only fair. They are our partners and they help get started and it's good. It benefits everyone.
Look where intellectual property rights are going. It's huge money riding on them. There are a lot of people with good ideas, but they don't know how to approach. And एक ये भी generally लोगों में राइटर्स में या स्टोरी आइडिया कंसेप्ट क्रिएटर्स में एक डर रहता है कि अरे मैं तो बहुत छोटी सी चीज़ हूँ, मेरी कहानी कौन पढ़ेगा, मैं कैसे इतने बड़े ऑफिस में जाऊँ और किससे जाके मिलूँ. सो दैट इनहिबिशन समटाइम्स स्टॉप्स the major source of production and the person with the right idea to meet at the right level. Now in the last 2 to 3 years, we are seeing a lot of this the process has become very fluid. In case that a writer wants to approach applause with a story or an idea, what's the process?
It's a difficult process in the sense that, what happens is that there are so many good ideas out there and so many people have good ideas, but it's difficult to reach. It is, we have websites and we have, log on to this and message and all of that, but it is a difficult business because, the number of ideas that we get are numerous. We can't go through all of them. Even if we go through all of them, there are many that are similar. Many times we may be doing things like that. Some things sound too expensive. So it is a tough business. Also, as you're saying that, how do you approach, how do you get access? It's difficult. You can often wonder how to do it. But I think finally what happens in this business, and there's nothing new to this. In fact, I would argue that it's become easier now than it was before.
Yes.
Because before, you had to really go knocking on doors. Now you can tweet someone or you can message someone, you can get hold of phone number. There's so much more technology and connectivity. But it remains that, this is the kind of business that say the business can accommodate 1,000 great ideas and what you have is 1,000,000 great ideas, So the ratio is extreme and not everyone gets their chance. So, but the only thing you can possibly do is that you have to keep working at it. You have to persevere. Everyone, all creators out there, anyone with any ideas have to persevere, have to keep trying because if you stop trying, it's okay because another idea comes up.
Advice you can give to them, like for example, in one of the interviews you did say that work on it as much as you can so that when it comes to us, we don't have too much work remaining on it.
That's actually the best way to do. In fact, there's a show that went into production for us in October. I had met an actor on a set who told me that he and a writer had been developing something and so would you like to listen to it? And I said, yeah, okay, sure. So he came here the next week with this writer and they started narrating this show to me, which we liked immediately. And he said, I've written it all. So we said, okay, then let's continue with these narrations. We heard, I think, 10 episodes in about a week or 10 days and greenlit the show and it went into production. It's finishing shoot. So this whole story is like under 10 months of, but he had done all the hard work, you could argue, that he had already written it, so it was easier to read it. Many times people come with a germ of an idea and then say, now will you give me money so that I can develop it. So my advice to most writers always is that the cheapest thing to do if you are a writer is to write, right? Because you have the talent, it's within you and you can just do it. It costs no money.
Wonderful.
And if you can write it, then it makes our decision easier. Actually, in many ways, what is Applause doing? What Applause does is it goes and makes the show and gets it ready and then shows it to the platform completed. So for the platform, everything is ready. They have to just make a buy or not buy decision. They don't have to do anything else. They don't have to say, it's a good idea, now who can we cast, who will direct, how will we, nothing, it's all done. We just, we just take them to a theatre and show them on a screen and they watch it and they say, wow, nice show. Or, don't like it. Easy. So I think the more that the creative person makes the buyer, whoever has to buy, their job easier, I think the better it is for the industry.
But that's an interesting thing. So Applause produces a project from A to Z and then takes it to the platform.
And then license it to the platform,
And do you do it mostly, most of the projects?
That's the only thing we do.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Risk and reward.
Risk
and reward.
And what about the ones that don't get
well, so far we've been fortunate that we've not had that we've not had that incident yet. But again, it's maybe around the corner, who knows. But as Harshad says, risk hai to ishq hai. So ऐसे ही operate कर रहे हैं.
और अब हर्षद के बाद तेलगी के ऊपर आप बना रहे हैं. So you have couple of new projects. I'm told one of them is Telgi in continuation with
Which can.
Harshad. Another one is Gandhi.
Gandhi.
Another one is on Rajiv Gandhi's assassination. The other one is
documentary.
Yes, to talk about that.
Yeah.
So much more coming.
So there are many things happening. So one is of course all the subsequent seasons. So like the first one off the bat will be City of Dreams season 3, which comes up in I think by March. Scam 2 will happen clearly. Gandhi is the big one that we are working on. It unites two of our key people, Hansal and Pratik.
Wow.
We bought Ramchandra Goa's books. We have Siddharth Basu on board as a consultant and a sort of a
for all the fact checks.
All the fact checks.
Yeah.
Weber Vishal is writing it. Karan Vyas will also join. Mukesh Chabra is doing casting. That's a big thing. It's a big thing for us. We want to tell the story of Gandhi. We want to tell the story of Indian independence. And we want to tell the story of the birth of the nation. So, it's more like a monumental epic than just a biopic. So that's going to be a big one. There are a whole bunch of other new shows that are going to happen that are in development and production. Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, which is being done by Nagesh Kupnur. So all of these will happen now. Criminal Justice 4, various of these shows. Documentaries is something we wanted to do because we think it's an important thing and it's a different type of storytelling. It's something that's always interested me.
It's much needed in India. I don't know why does India not put that much of focus on documentary consumption.
Actually, Films Division used to do a lot of it before. Then in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it sort of died out. And now Indians have forgotten what documentaries are. So we have to sort of bring it back. It's a tough genre. But still, we are doing a few. So some of the interesting ones we're doing is we're doing one series on what we call Finding Ram. Which is, it's based on this book, In the Footsteps of Rama. So it traces the journey of Ram, Lord Ram, from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka and back, and tells 3 stories at the same time. 1, the mythology, 2, the religion, and 3, the history and modernity.
Wow.
As it comes along. So, like all the legends, all the things. It's just a simple story. Apar Shakti is the host who takes you on this crazy journey.
Wonderful.
And it's quite trippy. The other one we are doing this documentary on feeding Mumbai, as we call it. So, like all the statistics that go into feeding a city like Mumbai, 30 million odd people, are quite fascinating. Like, Bombay probably consumes like 3 crore eggs a day. Or crazy numbers like that. So what is the logistics that it takes to feed a city like Bombay? And just what does it take? So that'll be good fun to do. So there are a few others like this. We've just in fact announced today that we are working with Film Companion to do this documentary, what we call Modern Masters. So the idea being that every time you talk about great filmmakers, we always talk about the past. It's always, the Ray and Mrinal Sen, immediately goes there. So the sense was that, we also have our own masters who are modern and contemporary. And we've been working on it for almost 6-8 months now. So we put a filter saying that a modern master for us is somebody who broke out in the 21st century. So post 2000. Like, thoda idhar udhar few 5 years is okay. But definitely post 1991. Not before that. And is now done definitive work. He or she has done something definitive. So
who's your first modern?
Rajamouli.
Rajamouli, my God.
We've been shooting with him, and actually, in fact, we've been shooting with him since September. So this has been in the works since July.
Did you go to Golden Globes too?
No. We went to various places. We went to Tokyo, went to LA, all of that. I think we avoided this because all the footage exists.
Right.
Really, the idea was that, while we are anyway spending so much money in creating content, we must also spend some time and money and effort in celebrating creators.
Yes, so true.
And in celebrating them, I guess our selfish interest in it is that we get to understand how they work and also to share it with the whole industry. So in a way, it's also preserving the knowledge
documenting is very important.
Which could be lost. Because you see the movie, but you don't know why you made it or how you made it. And through their own words. So the first is Rajamouli. So we're doing things like that. So there's lots of stuff. We are also working on animation. We acquired the rights to the Amar Chitra Katha catalog. So we want to animate those comics in different ways. So we are doing the Amar Chitra Katha, the ACK Junior. Then we are doing all the Panchatantra tales and all of that. And then we are doing the 2 big mythos, which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. So we are starting with Mahabharata. And we want to actually do Mahabharata in the manner. So we are actually working with a writer and showrunner from the US. So we
Oh.
sent him all the comics, and his only first reaction was, I can't pronounce these names. So we said, okay, don't worry about it. But the thought was that, you know, for a lot of us, because we have grown up with all these stories, we just know them, right? We just know, if I tell you some part of the story, you will just know it. You don't know why you know it.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to take the story and tell it to the whole world, you have to, you know, like look at it objectively and tell the story. And I think that the Mahabharata lends itself to being the original Game of Thrones.
True.
You know, it is the original story about kings and queens and succession battles, and you know, it's a multinational, it's a multinational kind of setting, and then the Great War that happens. So we call the Mahabharata for us as the Great War. Right, and it is about all these warring kingdoms and warring tribes and, you know, different people who are fighting both for, you know, good versus evil, and also with all the treachery and the betrayals inside as a story, right, and which can then be a story for the world.
True.
So that's how we are sort of developing that.
I still watch Young Sheldon. There is not enough content for young adults and children, and Young Sheldon is such a beautifully told story, and it will be so nice if Amar Chitra Katha and Panchtantra can be molded into a format which can be easily consumed by children. You know, I just a couple of days ago I was speaking to someone else. Pandit Ki Bakri is a very famous kahani from Amar Chitra Katha. It talks about fake news. At that time it spoke about fake news. कि एक पंडित एक बकरी के साथ आ रहा था, तो किसी ने बोला कि
ये चूहा है और ये बिल्ली है,
हाँ, कुछ ऐसे, तो उसको इतने लोगों ने झूठ बोला कि he ended up believing that ये वो नहीं है, तो and then he sold it off to a much smaller amount. So आप किसी की बात ना सुने, अपने आप पर conviction रखें और fact checking करते रहें. That is something that पंचतंत्र की कहानियाँ and अमर चित्र कथाएं teach us. And in the end, you are a very well-traveled man, and because by virtue of being a content creator, you try and travel and understand how the world is operating, right? Tell us, what are the ways in which other countries are making and consuming content, and what can India learn from them?
Well, you know what, I think all other, I mean, in a sense, in the last 100 years, this whole filmed entertainment business, and which started with film, then moved on to TV, then satellite TV, now internet, and now streaming. So it's been a process. So I think we've, all over the world, people have been telling stories. Some countries faster, some countries more, and some countries slower. So I think India ranks in the top 5 of storytellers in that sense. Though of course the Americans and the West are much richer. So they've been on the big global domination, but we dominate with sheer numbers and population, all of that. I think the learnings, you know, are really the discipline that goes into making great entertainment or great infotainment, which is something that we are getting better at. I think we've done incredibly good television within the genre, right? So, I mean, if you take the Saas Bahu genre, we've done extremely well. We do it best. If you look at reality television, we do it very well. All the game shows and song and dance shows and all, we do it like comparable. Idol abroad, Idol in India is the same thing.
True.
You know, you can't tell the difference. Millionaire abroad, KBC in India, same thing. You can't tell the difference. So I think many of those things we are doing well. I think in the movie business, and we are doing a few movies. So we started off by doing a few of the smaller movies with people like Aparna Sen. She made The Rapist. We did Zwigato with Nandita Das, which is going to be releasing soon. There are a few other movies we've done. And as we build up on that as an industry, I think what's happening is that what the streamer has done has made the world into a global village. It's brought everything closer, which means everyone is easily compared with each other. See, in the old days, what happened is that if you made a Malayalam movie, it would end up on a Malayalam channel, and you would watch it on that. It would be an effort to see it, so most of the world couldn't see it. Now, Meenal Murli is right next to RRR, which is right next to Brahmastra. So it's all next to each other, and that is next to Avengers, right? So you can see everything just like that. So one is more people are seeing it, and two is you are being compared that much faster. So I think just one learning across the world is that we all have to tell better stories.
In a better way.
We have to tell them in a better way. We have to raise production qualities. We have to do, those are now no longer, you can't hide under your rock and do your own thing, because now all the rocks are out and there's light everywhere.
Yes,
so
your backs are open for everyone.
So I think to that extent we have doing that, but I think we all are. I think everyone, creators are almost welcoming. It's a harder business, of course, because there's so much more glare and so much more criticism and so much more of that quick judgment. Social media also makes everything like an instant judgment.
Instant.
Now, in the old days, it used to take a weekend to decide ki hit or flop.
Right.
Abhi by Friday, or now to before the picture is released, they have said it's a flop. So
live tweeting jalti hai.
So before nikla hi hai to flop ho gaya. So it's quite tough.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun.
It's fun. I know about you that you trained to be you trained in sciences.
I did.
Then you went to do a course in
hotel
management, and now you are a veteran in the content business. Tell me more about the person that you are, and what is it that what's your fuel? What do you do when you're not working?
When I'm not, actually, see, I don't work in that sense. So I don't regard what I'm doing as work. So I'm on one big vacation. You know, I enjoy doing this, so I'm on one vacation, and I sort of alternate between doing things. I enjoy doing this. When I'm not doing this, I'm reading, or I'm watching something, or, you know, I have like pretty simple taste that way. I'm just naturally curious. So I'm always interested to know about new things. Like currently now I have gotten onto Maratha history. So
you tweeted about
I went
that
and
too.
I got these 3 books, you know, and I didn't realize, and now I'm all very dazzled.
Between the Mughals and the British, there
was this
Maratha
80
dominion,
year period, and like while we all know about it, but then we don't know about it,
Right.
you know, so it's like that kind of thing, and it's quite fascinating. So yeah, I mean, I am fascinated by all these things, and then I think, you know, reading about all of these amazing things is, you know, you always find parallels to your current life. And to all the stories that we tell, and all these crazy stories find sort of, you know, they find their way into what we do. So I think that's what I do. I have dogs, I have cows and goats.
Really?
You know, in a farm. So not that I do very much with it. I mean, it's just a good thing to say.
But still, you nurture them.
Yeah.
But don't you develop FOMO? I develop FOMO, fear of missing out. कितना content लगातार आ रहा है, सबके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए, नहीं?
I've got this new phrase I've come across called JOMO.
What is
It's called the joy of missing out. So that really works for me and my unsociable spirit. So, you know, I love to miss parties, events, you know, any kind of function that may involve other human beings. I'd be happy to miss it.
Okay. Thank you for giving time to this human being. I'm so glad that you did not miss out on this. We had such a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much.
Very proud of the work that you're doing. And I'm also, I'm very enamored by your personality also. The personality doesn't make too much noise until your work actually comes out. Not too many people in the industry are like that, and I really value you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.